Good morning again, everyone, and here is a quick addition to the interactive naval war game which I'm running at the moment on the channel. I hope you're enjoying it, and Ian has asked a really good question, so I thought I would cover it. And now we are going into the mind of the Marmatian bottle class submarine commander, who's somewhere down here. Now, the bottle class submarine has been compromised. It's been compromised delivering a scuba diving sabotage group to its arch rival and sworn enemy, the Malagasy state. It's been compromised in the area of a bay here. The diving team has successfully been put ashore, but it went too far into the bay, and given the coastal land clutter around the bay, it didn't have a chance of picking up the law boat, the Sheriff John Stone, until it was far too late. It did see it through its periscope, it did order a crash dive, but it's very shallow in the bay, so it had to run shallow, and it has in all likelihood been compromised. The submarine commander has to assume that he's been compromised because his safety and the safety of his boat and his crew depends on it. Now, let's have a think about what's going through his head. Well, the bottle class submarine is actually quite a big mini submarine. Here is a 1 in 72nd Malagasy crewman for scale. This is, of course, a Marmatian submarine. It does look a bit worse for where it has been in the sea now for a while, and submarines, well, they don't scrub up too well. They're also quite flexible because the hulls have to warp and flex when you go to depth. This is the outer hull. There'll be an inner pressure vessel inside here, rear escape hatch and diving hatch, engine room here. It's got this kind of tail arrangement here, propeller there, forward escape hatch and access hatch, and then the 4 external loaded torpedoes or anti-ship missiles, and sonar at the front. It is quite a well-designed boat. It's definitely more competent than the Iranian Ghadir class, probably in league with the Iranian Fateh class, but behind a Russian Kilo class diesel electric boat. So the submarine commander will be reflecting on what his assets are. His first asset is he is a stealth vessel. Submarines, by the nature of their work, they're designed to run quietly and they're designed to be stealthy. This one will be coated with rubber coating to reduce its signature and its noise signature. As well, it will have, because this is quite an advanced mini sub, it will have its engines and machinery mounted on rubber rafts, which again is to reduce the noise. The first instruction he will of course give to his crew is to run silent, which means normal operations on the submarine will stop, and they will go into silent running, passing each other notes if they need to communicate, or pointing at each other, signalling, but making the minimum of noise. Now, underwater, the submarine is fairly hydrodynamic. It's a better shape than a lot of mini subs or micro subs being made from cycling bottles. And it has a submerged speed of 15 knots, speed on the surface 12 knots. Diving depth is unknown, only the sub commander and first officer and crew know that, and they're not sharing it with me. Its crew is 14. Its underwater endurance without snorkeling is 1 week. So he's got 1 week underwater to escape and evade before he has to come to snorkeling depth and use his snorkel to run the diesels to recharge the batteries. So that is his main limitation for the commander. Endurance at sea is around 4 weeks. It's got up to 4 torpedoes or anti-ship missiles. So it can have either 4 torpedoes or a combination of torpedoes and anti-ship missiles. Those are externally loaded, so there's no reloads carried on the submarine. The crew quarters is of course here, command centre here, and then you're into machinery, plant and life support systems. So it's not a bad boat. However, he knows that he has unearthed or unleashed or prodded the Malagasy Dragon. And Ian had a good question. Well, what other support assets does the Marmatian commander of the submarine have to rely on and get him out of trouble? Because he will have to assume that he's been compromised, and he knows that the Malagasy fleet is going to come looking for him. So the only assets that they really have is a Marmatian intel ship, very similar coincidentally to a Russian intel ship. Marmatia is of course fully Russian backed, and Oilem is fully NATO backed. Malagasy state is non-aligned. There are 2 intel ships here which also do covert work, and they are in international waters. They're being monitored by Malagasy drones, MQ-9Bs, but they are entitled to sail in international waters. What they're not allowed to do, and what he's done, is infiltrated into Malagasy coastal waters. Now, the commander is looking at the threat picture, and he knows from the intel brief that there is a Malagasy Type 23 frigate in this area, which is in no doubt keeping an eye on this intel ship. He doesn't know where the Malagasy submarines are. He knows one is currently thought to be at sea, and there are up to 8 others. He does know that 2 of those are on a naval exercise with the Australians, so they are out of the picture. But there are still 6 in port and 7 in total that he needs to worry about. Now, the Type 212 submarines, the Malagasy submarines, are based up here in the north. He doesn't know where the one at sea is. He just doesn't know. And he also has to look at the conditions and what's going on. Now, this is probably the best map that I could find. And there is a pinch point here of around 200 miles, which is a dangerous point for him, because lined above that is a Malagasy still being built sonar system, and there is one north as well, and he will have to get his sub through that pinch point if he's going to go home that way, and he needs to get to the Marmatian state here, or he can take the long way around into the Indian Ocean, try and get some supplies from the intel ship, and then make it home this way. So he's got a couple of options. Speed wise, and what's happening in this channel, there is what's called the Mozambique current. I've called it the Oilem current, but there is a strong current that comes down this channel towards the bottom of South Africa, and this he will be heading into. Topographically, on the bottom of the ocean, he will know that the ocean is deep. It's very deep here in this channel, and he knows that there are underwater rocks, underwater escarpments, underwater geographical features, and that is one of the options that he has to get up to this pinch point. Again, in this pinch point there are islands, there are other geographical features, but there is that sonar arrangement, and what the sonar arrangement does is it channels noise into the sonars, the hydrophones, basically they're passive, and it looks for noise and looks for detection. So as he comes up to this pinch point, he runs a real risk of being caught there unless he can effectively hide in a channel or latch onto a merchant ship. Now, the bottle class submarine is a quiet submarine, but it can be detected through passive and active hydrophones and sonar systems, and what he really doesn't want to do is to get pinged by active sonar as he's travelling northwards. So he can mask the noise with a boat, or he can mask the noise by going through the ocean topography. The downside is when he starts to do that, he has to slow down, which limits his range. Now, range-wise, if we look at the scale here, we can see that there's a 200-mile wide pinch point. It's around 400 miles for the rest of it. And being down here, in this area here, he will have around... He's got around 900 miles to do. He can roughly do, without the current being too strong, he can roughly do 250 to 280 miles a day. So it's going to be a 3-day journey at 12 to 15 knots to get home this way. So these are all the options that the Marmatian Submarine Commander is going through. I hope that helps you make the decision. The poll is still live to Sunday. The other option is he just completely bottles it and abandons and goes to South Africa and claims asylum. The likelihood then is the Marmatian intel services will hunt him down because he has betrayed the Marmatian state. So the Marmatian Commander is really between a rock and a hard place. Let me know if you've got any questions, and I hope this helps with that poll. Take care. Goodbye.